This is a description of the grips that I like to teach for the longsword. You have right hand high, left hand down around the bottom of the pommel, not generally wrapped around it, but just about in here. If you go left hand high, it's exactly the opposite. It's very rare that we're going to use the sword in this kind of fashion. We want to be able to have our hands apart so that we can use that snapping motion when we cut. But there are a couple times later on in the class that the hands coming together will be discussed. Half swording has got to be more in this area. And again, change hands, but that's got to be later in classes as well. Now I want to demonstrate hand changes with the longsword. So first we just demonstrate by holding the sword vertical with both hands, and then as I let go with my right hand, or the top hand, I'm going to release very slightly my grip on the bottom hand, and then let gravity pull the sword down, just like that. And then of course the top hand has to change over the one that's sliding. When we're fighting in a position where I want to come back to a guard and change my hand, potentially in a hidden or invisible way especially, so that my opponent doesn't see it. But either way, you have to use your hand to drive that bottom hand forward. So now I'm not using as much gravity, because if I do that with gravity, it's just going to pull the sword down. Right foot forward. This is starting with guards. Front foot pointed at your opponent. Back foot at about 90 degrees, 75 to 90 degrees, as you can see. Right hand forward. This is the fool. So I'm going to be here. Okay. If I go left foot forward, right hand high, now the fool comes back here. Back in here. If we change hands, left hand high, now I go to what I was doing with the right hand high, with the right foot forward, left hand high. Or if I forward with my right foot, now I'm back here again. So now we're doing the guard called plow. Right hand high, left foot forward. I'm going to come in here. Note the sword position to my face and my center line. And a side view, or side view. And then we rotate our hips, doing basically still point, meaning this point should kind of stay in that same relative position. And then I'm over here. If I come right foot forward, see how it just does the opposite? Okay. I change my hand. So now we move to the guard position called the ox. I'm going to be right hand high, left foot forward. I'm in here. Points kind of at my opponent's head, but again in that center line in my position, not over here or not over here. It's here. If I go right foot forward, keeping the right hand high, I'm going to be here. Right? Just like that. And then sideways for ox, we're going to be here. Notice this angle on my elbow. This is parallel to the floor. So now we're going to the guard of roof. So if your helmet and your armor allow you, roof should be just about here. So I'm looking underneath my pommel at my opponent. And the sword's angled back with the edge up and directed at your opponent in this area. And then falcone, which is, falcon is higher than the roof, right? So now I extend that hand up a little bit more, and that edge, that point, really rotates forward. So I'm really in very much a very high guard very, very much. I'm just going to slay my opponent as opposed to, oh, by the way, roof, if my armor won't let me, instead of being here, I'm going to drop it over so that I'm kind of in this general area. Left guard. This guard is known as hubris. Right hand high, left foot forward. We're going to go to where our hands are in kind of a natural position to the upper right side of the breastplate. And the sword is just kind of laying. You can even lay it on your shoulder, actually. I like to usually hold it a little bit higher. This has much hubris in it. This has a little less hubris in it. Blocks would be here from there. Strikes. We can go to this side for that cut. It's not as strong in my opinion, but that probably means it's stronger if you pay attention. Come here, or here. And hand changes. Last for this evening, I was going to describe making parries. We want to always remember that parries with a real sword and correctly, no matter what kind of a sword, whether it's a rattan waster or the steel licking knower, is we want to parry on the flat of the sword. So if I'm in hubris and somebody attacks me here, I rotate forward and I block on that flat. If the sword comes across here, I rotate back and I make this parry or that parry. See the difference. So I'm here. Let's see the other side. So again, here. That's at the top. Or here. Or here. 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 If we're blocking lower, to approximate the hip height, that would be the same flat here or here. Here. I wouldn't try to do this one. No matter what I do, I can't get enough that flat. In real steel combat, whether it's sharps or rebateds, you block what you have to. You can feel the difference right away when it's edge on edge. That's why there's a bunch of these little groups here. Versus, if you can see them, I don't know if the camera can see. Ofer, can you see the reflections of all the flat blocks?
I think so.
In here?
Yeah.
Right. Versus on edge, that happens too. But anyway, better to have a sword get nicked than die, or have to pay a ransom that's going to be a lot more than a sword, right? So again, here, or here, here, here. If we decide we're going to stay in the combat in a leg cut, or kind of an upper leg is thrown at us, we, on this side, we drop down to make that block in here. In here. See it? Yeah. Or we do what we call scabbarding the sword to block this side, and that's going to be rise, settle, drive it into the scabbard. Catch it there. Again, rise, settle, down. So, looks like that.
Just here on side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, on the left side. Again over here. Okay. And then do the deep leg cut.
Okay.